On. Okay, good morning and welcome to Mount of Olives Church in Coleford. As always, we have yes, morning everybody from Paul, morning from Jen. You know what? We actually have the chat bubbles back again as well. Let's just make that visible. Look, there you go. You can see each other. And we do have as well. Let's put my family on for a second. We do have my family. There we go.
Hello.
We do have my family. There we go.
Hello.
Oh, slight delays in the video, but it's okay. They're actually on the sofa in the office, so they're basically just to my right. But I thought it might be easier if they were just on a separate sofa for a second. So we'll get back to them in just a sec. Okay. Okay. So yes, morning. Now I just want to let you know a few things. First of all, oh dear, hello baby doll. Do you want to come and sit with Daddy? Come and sit with Daddy and say hello.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, everybody. Right. Oh, you dropped your baby. So, just to make sure you know what's going on, obviously over the past couple of weeks, we've had a bit of technical trouble, as you know, with baby, yes. And we've been using a service called Caster, which just hasn't really worked for us. So we're now back to Restream, which gives us our lovely chat boxes back again on the stream. It enables you to see it on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And so far, it all seems to be working properly. I hope you've seen my tests during the week. I did even send out an email to make sure you could all see them. So just let me know if there's any problems, but hopefully we're all back up and running again. Now, because last week especially was so broken up and a lot of people didn't get to see large parts of it, I am going to be repeating some parts of last week's service. Basically the communion and the sermon, okay? So those two parts will be the same as last week. In fact, I will actually just be basically playing the video of last week's sermon that I did manage to get on Facebook. So hopefully that will work for all of you, and then you'll be able to catch up if you missed it. If you did get to see it last week, I'm sorry. I know I don't usually repeat sermons, so if you would like to switch off for that moment, go and read your Bible, do something else, that's absolutely fine. I don't blame you if you actually heard it last week, but I think most people didn't get to hear the sermon, so I'm going to play it again from last week. And Laura, don't turn the microphone off, thank you very much. So just so you understand what's going on. What else do I need to tell you about? Oh, yes, okay. And you will notice, some of you, that we didn't do the quiz on Friday because there were lots of people who were just very busy doing other things. Most of our normal teams were just not available. Even my family weren't available. They never would turn up, and Grace's family weren't available. So basically, nobody was available to do the quiz, really. There were a few of you who signed up, and I'm sorry it was a disappointment for those few of you, but we actually only had about 4 people sign up, which unfortunately does not make for much of a quiz. So we'll do it again next month, and hopefully more people will be available, and I have all of these lovely quiz questions ready for you now, so that's good. Now I should also say Happy Harvest Sunday, because it is Harvest Sunday today, and I wasn't going to make... Oh, Laura, go to Mummy there. Go on. I wasn't going to make much of a mention of donations and so on, because you've all been donating so fantastically to the Jenkins family, and I didn't want to sort of add on top of that. But I have had a list sent through from the food bank, so I thought I'd just show you quickly what the food bank have said. Let me just find my list. Oh, where's it gone? Here it is. So yes, I've got a list sent through from the food bank, and I think it's on the screen. There we go. So they do need toilet paper, they need dry dog food, tin pasta, sponge puddings, jellies, and rice pudding, as well as canned fruit, instant mash, and canned potatoes. So if you have any of those things, or if you could get those things to donate to the food bank, that would be great. We'll talk more about that next week, because I did want to give you a bit of a breather between asking you to give for the Jenkins family and then asking you to give for something else. But yeah, because I sent through this email, I thought I would mention it. Okay, let's move on to Jenkins. Well, I've just been talking about Jenkins family, so let's just show you something about that. So yeah, we'll get to you in a second, don't worry. So I showed most of you this midweek, but if you didn't get to see it, this is some of the donations we've had for the Jenkins family. Actually, that's a very incomplete picture. In fact, that's a picture that's older than I thought it was. But we have had lots of really good donations. Let me just see if I've got a slightly better picture. Let's see. There we go. That shows a bit more stuff. We've had even more stuff since then. So we've got literally a whole dining table and chair set. We've got TVs. We've got lots of bits of furniture, all sorts of things. So yeah, thank you so much for all your donations. It's been fantastic. You've been so generous. And tomorrow we have a team of people now who are going to be taking those things out and taking them all to the Jenkins family. So that's going to be fantastic. So thank you so much for your donations. Thank you so much for anybody who's coming to help. And hopefully we'll be able to get them settled tomorrow. And most of all, I mustn't forget to mention this. Thank you so much to 5 Acres Van Rental, who are giving us a van for free on Monday. Lending us a van, I should say. They're not quite donating a van. They're giving us a van, not even paying for insurance. It's amazing. So we are getting the use of a van for free on Monday to take these things to the family. So that is a fantastic blessing from them. Thank you so much. Just making sure that Laura's not turning off the computer. Right, let's get on to something with the children, because they're sitting so patiently, and I just need to bring them in. So there we go. Mummy's sitting Laura down. There we go. So Grace and the kids wanted to show you this, so I'm just going to pass you over to them for a second.
So, good morning, everybody. For those of you that on Facebook,
That was frozen.
It's okay. It's okay. It's just slow.
those of you that are on Facebook, you might know that we have some joined called Joytober. Look over here, Baz. Called Joytober, and it's all about just spreading joy for October, and it's all about being thankful. So every day, God Venture, which is an organisation, they put up what we call a prompt. So they do a sentence that at breakfast time we've been trying to. One for today is I'm for people who help us, especially, and then we have to fill in the blank. So, Boaz, today, who did you say you were thankful for? Which people?
Mrs. Brown, Mrs. Couchman,
Mrs. Couchman.
Mrs. Barber.
So they're all Boaz teachers he was saying he was thankful for. So Micah, what did you thankful for? You said Chantel, didn't you?
Yeah, but no name's
Chantel, yeah, and Chantel is Micah's nurse teacher, isn't she?
Yeah, my milk.
Yeah, right, Chantel. Turn around so they can see you. Mummy said that she was very thankful for people that help us, and those people are school teachers and nursery teachers. There's a lot. And Daddy said he was thankful for Jesus who helps us, which is great. So every day we're doing the prompts just to try and help us remember to be thankful. Right, so I'll come here, turn around. Because it's Harvest Sunday, right, camera, it's Harvest Sunday on virtual Sunday school today. We were doing all about harvest and being thankful for the food and things that we have to eat, weren't we? Yeah. So we watched virtual Sunday school, and then our craft was what to make. Lovely. So it was to make a thankful wreath for all of the food that we have. So Boaz put together a lovely wreath, drawn all these pictures of all the different types of food that he likes to say thank you to God for. So we are thankful today for all of the food we have to eat, and Boaz is eating half of the stuff that we prayed for right now. He's chomping on a carrot.
Thank you very much. Yeah, a little bit laggy on the video, but I think we're getting there. If there wasn't a technology problem, it wouldn't be our church on a Sunday, would it? So, okay. Goodness me. Right, boys, I'd like you to help me with something in a second. In fact, let's do. There you go. Do that. I want to help you with something. So we've got some birthdays that happened. Now, last week I did do birthdays, of course, but actually, as many of you lost the stream, you wouldn't have seen birthdays either. So I'm going to repeat last week's birthdays and include the birthday from this week. Okay, boys, are you listening? Okay. So we're going to be doing birthdays from last week and from this week. But let me put on the birthday cake. Hopefully, they won't come on for this bit. Never mind. Okay. So we've got. It was Janet Phelps' birthday last week. It was Terry's birthday last week. It was Ken's birthday last week. It was Maya's birthday last week. It was Evie's birthday last week, and it's Joe's birthday this week. That is a lot of birthdays. So I would like a joint effort for singing Happy Birthday, please. Okay? Are you ready?
Okay.
Go.
Are you ready? Go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Janet, Terry, Ken, Maya, Evie, and Joe.
Happy birthday.
Go. There we go. Okay, so I hope you all have fantastic birthdays, past or future. Right, okay, I'm going to put some kids' worship on, and I think then that will be a great time for my kids to say bye-bye to you. So, in fact, where's him? Everybody say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Everybody say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, so we're going to have some kids' worship on, and then we will continue with the service.
Praying all times, praying always. Praying all times, praying always. To the God who hears every word I say. To the God who hears every word. Now's the time for me to talk to God. Sitting on the bus or train, gazing through the window pane. Now's the time to quietly talk to God. Praying all times, praying always. Praying all times, praying always. To the God who hears every word I say. To the God who hears every word I say. We gotta pray. Everybody pray. Come on and pray. To the God who hears us. We gonna pray. Everybody pray. Come on and pray.
When I'm heading off to school, lounging in my living room,
Now's the time for me to talk to God.
in my heart or shouting loud, running round or bowing down.
Everywhere I'm free to talk to God. Praying all times and praying always. Praying all times and praying always. To the God who hears every word I say. To the God who hears every word. When you're by the sea, when you're drinking hot tea, even playing on the Wii, come on and pray. When you're feeling sad, when things go bad, don't get mad, just pause and pray. When it don't feel fair, in your favorite armchair, wherever you dare, come on and pray. Praying all times, praying always. Praying all times, praying always. To the God who hears every word I say. To the God who hears every word.
Okay, so we're back. Now, one thing I did forget to mention actually was I was just going to say about this thankful chart that Grace has just been saying she's doing, this Joytober thing. You can actually get that for yourself. So this chart here, in fact, let me just show you. So this chart here, this 31 ways to be thankful. So it's basically something to pray for and to be thankful for every single day in October. I think that's a really nice thing to be doing. Let's just put that up there for a second. So yeah, if you want to get that chart for yourself, if you want to get that chart for yourself, let me just get it on here. So it's a website called God Venture you can get it from, and if you scroll down, they've got all sorts of things for to do with family. But if you scroll down here, you click on where it says Joytober, and then you can find the links to So we look, it says yes, you can download this here. And then it's got the option to download, and it's absolutely free to download. Okay, so you can just get that for yourself if you want it. And I think it's a really nice thing for us to be doing if you've got kids in the house, or if you haven't got kids in the house, you can just be using that as a way to remind yourself what to be thankful for. Okay, so that's a really good, nice thing to do. Let's move on now. Let's see what I've got next. Oh yes, various notices. So I've just said about the Jenkins stuff. So yeah, basically we're going to be delivering that. There's donations to him tomorrow. So, and we don't need any more people now. We have a few people with cars. We have a van. So we should all be good to go. But thank you for everybody who's volunteered. And I know I had to turn a couple of people down because we had so many people. But obviously I can't create massive groups of people at the moment. So I can only have a few people there. People with cars, obviously. We have, I think I can't remember if you had an email yet about the AGM, but just making sure you all know. I've repeated this a few times now, but because of the past couple of weeks, I don't know who's heard what. But the AGM has been postponed until next year. You will have a letter and an email about that. And basically, you'll be able to see the accounts if you need to see the church accounts, if you'd like to see those. But the actual AGM itself will not be happening this year, just like many charities. We will just be taking a break for this year because it's just very hard to gather people together. Obviously, for anything, you can't even gather people together for a birthday party, let alone an AGM at the moment. Talking about gathering now, I know obviously a lot of you will know it was Terry Arkwell's funeral recently, and a lot of people weren't able to attend that, of course, because they're very small gatherings. So Robert Hart has very kindly put together a report on the funeral that he was able to attend. Now that's on YouTube, and so I'll send an email out and you can watch that at your leisure. It's only 5 minutes long, but I thought you just might want to take your time to watch that. So I'm going to send you a YouTube link to that rather than just sticking it in the service. And yeah, if you're interested, you'll get an email about that. Speaking about various emails you might have had, the prayer meeting is happening this week as usual, and is happening in the church again, which has been reasonably successful. I think I'm quite happy with that. Obviously the prayer meeting is open to everybody, even though the numbers are limited for who can attend on the evening and physically in person. You can always come on Zoom, so it's open to every single person who would like to come. Just come on Zoom if you can't come in person, and everybody who has come in person has said even if they sign up first and take up the slots, they're willing to give up those slots if you find it's full. So if you do try to sign up and you're desperate to come and you find it's full, just send me a message and we can try to work out swapping you out with somebody who's been a few other times. I don't want anybody to miss out on that, and that's why we also have it on Zoom, so you can all join in as you want to. Miriam's group is continuing on Zoom as always, so if you want a group that's on Zoom. And I've had a lovely report from John Dunstan. I hope he doesn't mind me reading this out, but he just gave me a bit of encouragement and a bit of feedback about that group, so I thought I'd just read it out because it's a really nice testimony. He said, so you know, for your encouragement, we have an amazing time on Wednesdays with Miriam's prayer group. We start with a short time of sharing until everyone has logged on. We then have a devotional time to start with, led by different members each week, which often uses the rest of the first 40 minutes. We all then log back in, and Miriam goes through our prayer list if she's not been able to do it before this. We then spend the rest of the time in prayer, and we've been known to log back in for a third time. Miriam, in fact, I think most of us, keeps lists of prayer requests, and we have had some amazing answers to prayer. You forget you're on Zoom. They are truly godly and spiritual times together. The format works well. The devotional times have been inspiring. The prayer times are always deep and emotional, and you can just feel the presence of God. You just felt you need to share that. So if you've been put off by the idea of meeting on Zoom, please don't be put off by it. As I've just said, and as a great testimony from John, that actually even a group that meets on Zoom can be a fantastic way of connecting with other people. And I do think as a church we really want to have more groups that help us connect with other people in the church, and that's why I'm starting up a group on Thursday. So that will be in the church on Thursday mornings, 10 o'clock. I realise obviously it's during the day, it's working time for many of you, but for those of you that are able to make it, then we have that physical group happening in the church. I will not be doing that one on Zoom because I think actually that would be quite nice to just have us there in person. So I won't be doing that as a mixed group like I do with the prayer group. I really want us to try to not only study the Bible together, but also to pray and support each other. So because obviously we're sort of a looking after each other and supporting each other, I wanted to make sure there was a sense of sort of privacy almost about that. So I'm not going to have that open to everybody on Zoom. But if you want to join in, you are most welcome. There are only 8 slots because obviously we've got to be careful about how we distance and all that sort of thing. But if you do want to come, please just let me know. There's a sign up I've sent to you through email. So just have a look at that. If you know of anybody who doesn't get emails and you think might want to come along, please let them know and make sure they tell me. So they can't just turn up on the doorstep. But as long as they tell me, then I can make sure they're signed up. Okay, so if you think of anybody you think, oh, they would love to come, but they probably haven't got the email, just make sure that you tell me and I'll get them signed up. Okay, so that's now 3 groups basically we have meeting in the week. We have the prayer group, Miriam's group, and this Bible study that's going to be happening on Thursday. And I would love for there to be more groups happening. I've had at least one person contact me already just talking about groups that they would like to set up, which is fantastic. And I would love to see more groups forming in the church where people are gathering at different times. It doesn't have to be every week. It could be every fortnight, every month. But however you want to gather, I think it'd be fantastic for you to be gathering to pray and study the Bible. I think those are 2 really key things. So supporting each other and just having conversations that you can't have on a Sunday morning. So I really encourage you, if you feel that you could possibly lead a group, please just get in touch. It could be about anything. You could get together and knit or anything you like. Diane has mentioned to me that she'd be happy to have, this is going to be what I would call a micro group, but if any ladies in the church are interested, she has a little art studio in a garden, and she would love for people to come and join her with that. Now, as we'll say, people as one person, so one person at a time has to be a lady. Okay, so if that fits you, if you are female and you're interested in going and doing some art projects with Diane, then please just let me know and I'll pass her details on to you so you can connect together. So if that's something that interests you. So we're getting a bit more going on. I'm quite excited about this. So even though we didn't have the quiz, we do have a lot of other things happening, which is fantastic. Okay, so while we're thinking about it, I'm going to just take the chat off the screen for a second. Let's do that. Hopefully that button works. Yes, there we go. So I thought we'd just get into just a time of prayer just for a second, and also communion. So if you want to get your communion things ready, then please do. So as I was thinking last week, and this is sort of what I did communion on, but I got a bit more to add. I was thinking about this emergency job scheme and about people worrying about their jobs and worrying how they're going to be provided for. Now, we have actually had some answer to prayer in the middle of all this. One particular person I was thinking of, who I won't mention, but I know has talked to me about worries with their job situation and worries about finances. And actually this person had a bit of an incident at work and was had to go and talk to the management a bit, and was thinking, okay, this could be a big problem for me. But actually we prayed for them just the night before in the prayer meeting, and when they went to have their meeting with their management, they actually found that the management, instead of telling them off, was very much on their side, and lots of problems that maybe being swept under the carpet for a while suddenly being brought into the open. And this person was able to talk to the director of the whole company and really make some positive suggestions, and feels like there's positive change happening. So that's a really good answer to prayer. Somebody who thought actually they were walking into one situation, found themselves completely covered by God's blessing and having a completely different conversation. And I think that's fantastic. So we do know that God can turn these situations around. With prayer, anything is possible. And I just wanted to just lift up anybody who's worrying about work, anybody who's worrying about their situation. In terms of employment. And actually it just brought to mind a verse from Matthew 6. So let's have a look at Matthew 6, verses 25 to 34. In fact, I have actually got it to put up on the... No, I haven't got it to put up on the screen. I thought I had. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'll just read this out for you. Okay. That is why I tell you not to worry about everyday life, whether you have enough food and drink or enough clothes to wear. Isn't life more than food and your body more than clothing? Look at the birds. They don't plant or harvest or store food in barns, for your heavenly Father feeds them. And aren't you far more valuable to him than they are? Can all your worries add a single moment to your life? And why worry about your clothing? Look at the lilies of the field and how they grow. They don't work or make their clothing, yet Solomon in all his glory was not dressed as beautifully as they are. And if God cares so wonderfully for wildflowers that are here today and thrown in the fire tomorrow, he will certainly care for you. Why do you have so little faith? So don't worry about these things, saying, what will we eat, what will we drink, what will we wear? These things dominate the thoughts of unbelievers, but your heavenly Father already knows all your needs. Seek the kingdom of God above all else, and live righteously, and he will give you everything you need. So don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's trouble is enough for today. That includes one of my favourite verses about seek the kingdom of God above all else. And I just think it's a really good reminder that actually no matter what situation we're in, if we seek God, then he can turn it around. And that we don't need to worry about so many things we do end up worrying about. And as Jesus says, it won't add even a minute to our lives, even a moment to our lives, if we worry about these things. There's just no point doing it. Yeah, if we seek God first, then hopefully not just the problems will go away, but actually they just won't feel so big in the first place. You know, sometimes I think we can end up thinking, well, the only answer to prayer is the answer that actually the problem itself disappears. But sometimes actually the best answer to prayer is our worry about it disappears, and the pressure about it disappears. And I think that's actually some of the best things that God does for us. So I talked about that in prayer I talked about it in the service just a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? So I just wanted to really just declare that the reason we don't worry is because of Jesus. That actually Jesus says we don't need to worry, he will provide, he will look after us, and we just need to focus on him first. And so as we're taking communion, I really want to think about how we focus on Jesus and how he provides for us bread when we need it and water when we need it. And he says, it said in John 6:35, it says, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. You know, Jesus is our sustainer. He is our bread, and he is our water. He is living water, as he talks about himself, and he is bread of life, as he talks about himself. He is the one who gives us life. And so you don't need to worry about the physical things. Just make sure you focus on Jesus, and he will take care of the rest. Okay, so let's just remember this as we take the bread. So Lord, just thank you that your body was broken for us, the bread of life that we can share with you. And thank you that in sharing with you, we know we are not just sharing in your sacrifice, but also giving up our worries. We can pin our worries to the cross and know that we don't have to worry about how we are physically looked after, because you do that for us. Thank you, Lord. And thank you, Lord, for your blood shed for us. Thank you that you are living water. Thank you that we will never go thirsty in your kingdom. Thank you, Lord. Okay. So, I thought we'd have a song from our amazing worship team at Mount of Olives, and this is them singing This Is Amazing Grace. So let me just get that on here.
Mighty and so much stronger, the King of Glory.
Okay. So, as I said, this week I'm going to use the sermon I preached last week. Now, actually, initially I was going to just re-preach the same sermon, and I had all my notes and everything ready, but I was actually listening to last week's sermon, which I managed to get onto Facebook, and I was like, well, actually, I think I did pretty well with it last week, and well, there's no point reinventing the wheel, is there? So I will actually be showing you the same video I put up last week on Facebook. I think many of you, as I said, didn't get to see it anyway, especially anybody who's on YouTube, you didn't get to see it. So I hope that you don't mind that I'm using this again, but obviously there will be a new fresh sermon next week if that's what you desire. Okay, so for this week only, I'm going to be using the video from last week if you didn't get to see that. So I'm going to, without further ado, put you onto that, and I'm going to be talking about the subject of the body again, like I started a couple of weeks ago, talking about the body and how that all fits together. So, okay. Into my sermon. My sermon is about us all being part of one body, like I've talked about before, and we were talking in the previous couple of weeks about how the body has. It's no point being envious about the other parts of the body, that each part of the body has its own function, and there's no point being jealous of what other parts of the body do. Your job is just to do your function within the body. And so sorry, I'm thrown off by all technology things for a second. I just want to get onto the idea that actually it talks about not just the parts of the body having their own function, but how they should work together. And so this week I want to talk about how the parts work in harmony with each other. And in 1 Corinthians 12, which is where we've been going from, let's just go to this for a second. It says, this is 1 Corinthians 12, verse 18. But our bodies have many parts, and God has put each part just where he wants it. How strange a body would be if it only had one part. Yes, there are many parts, but only one body. The eye can never say to the hand, I don't need you. The head can't say to the feet, I don't need you. In fact, some parts of the body that seem weakest and least important are actually the most necessary. And the parts we regard as less honourable are those we clothe with the greatest care. So we carefully protect those parts that should not be seen, while the honourable parts do not require this special care. So God has put the body together such that extra honour and care are given to those parts that have less dignity. This makes for harmony among the members, so that all the members care for each other. If one part suffers, all the parts suffer with it, and if one part is honoured, all the parts are glad. All of you together are Christ's body, and each of you is a part of it. Okay. So this verse, and this is what I really want to start with, that if one part suffers, then all the parts suffer with it. And actually that's really important, that we can just empathise with each other. Yeah, if you have a body and you have a pain in your foot, for example, that doesn't just affect your foot, that affects the way you move around. If you aren't able to move in some parts of the world, not being able to move and not being able to get around might mean that you can't go and get food or water, or the rest of your body suffers for that. And so our pains in our body don't exist in isolation. They affect other things we do. And the same way, the pains in our body should affect the rest of our body. That we can't just ignore pain and suffering that's happening amongst us as a congregation, as a church, because we're all one body, and it actually affects us all and should affect us all. Romans 12, let's go with this. Romans 12:15. Says, be happy with those who are happy and weep with those who weep. That we are actually, as we're supposed to love each other, we're supposed to look after each other, we are also supposed to commiserate with each other. We're supposed to help feel the pain, because I think actually a pain shared is a pain lesson, that we have this amazing way of if we contain the pain inside us, then it really kind of grows and bubbles up and almost consumes us. But if we start to share it, even in a small way, then we sort of get rid of it. That's not to say that the things that cause us pain just necessarily go away, but that the impact it has on us is much less if we can share it with other people. Now, some people share their pain in unhealthy ways. Some people share their pain by getting angry and shouting and not really talking about what the actual issue is, but instead just taking it out on everybody around them. We've all known those people who have just kind of got really volatile and they're just really hard to be around. But those people still need help. And actually, if you are a person who lashes out at other people, the key thing is that you need to make sure you're sharing what's actually going on. You need to have people that you trust that you can share that with. And that's one of the reasons I think the church needs to have smaller groups in it, people that we can know really well and trust and spend time with, who will pray with us and we can pray with them. That's the way I think a lot of churches now do this function of sharing and making sure that we're, celebrating with those who are celebrating and weeping with those who are weeping. You can't do that on a Sunday morning. There's a whole bunch of people in a building when we eventually get back to a building, or on a Facebook or YouTube or whatever, but you're not really sharing with each other. And I just think that's it's a really key part, that we need to have that time where we can be amongst people we trust, who we know won't judge us, who we know a bit about our story and what's going on with us, and so we can explain things without having to explain the whole thing. We can just explain the latest part of what's going on. That is where smaller groups really make a big difference, and I think that's something that's really important for us as a church, to try as much as possible to have everybody in a smaller group of people they can trust and rely on and spend time with in that way. And I think that's really, really important. So the body as a whole should be supporting each other, but actually, one of the ways we can do that is by breaking that down to more kind of manageable chunks. Galatians 6:2 says that we should share each other's burden, or bear each other's burdens, depending on which translation you read, and in this way obey the law of Christ. That we are meant to help lift each other up. So if you do have a foot that hurts, as I said, then you wouldn't just leave that foot to kind of drag along the ground. Other parts of the body would come in to help. Your brain would have a think about what to do about that foot, and your hands might put, a cast or something around the foot. You might be using crutches to help you get along. The rest of the body would come into action to help take the burden off that foot and give it time to heal. You can't just sort of go ignore these things and pretend they're not happening, because then they get worse. And in the same way, we should help bear each other's burdens. That if somebody is suffering amongst us, then we should actually try to help lift that off them. What we're doing, hopefully, is going to be really helpful. If this family had the fire, we're going to be, giving them various things, and we've offered to decorate if they need decorating as well. But we should be really jumping in like that for everybody in our church. And I think, to a certain extent we are. I think during lockdown especially, we saw people taking care of each other and looking after each other, which is great. But I think there's always ways we can do more of that and be really aware of the people around us and try to know what's going on with them, not for the sake of gossiping about it and telling, oh, did you know, that this is going on with them, but actually thinking about how we can help and be part of sharing their burden and lightening the burden that is on them. And we're designed to help each other. Going back to that bit in Corinthians, let's go to this. Let's have a look. It says, our bodies have many parts, and God has put each part just where he wants it. Okay, so that actually each of these parts is designed to fit together. We're all designed to fit together with each other. I talked last week about how we all have individual skills and they're all meant to support each other, and we are meant to use those for the benefit of each other. It's very easy to just focus on what God has given us as skills and think that that's something that we need to work on just in isolation. But actually, it is meant to be a case of everything working together. In fact, Paul talks about this analogy, this metaphor of the body many times. And in Ephesians, he says, this is Ephesians 4:16, he says he makes the whole body fit together perfectly. As each part does its own special work, it helps the other parts grow so that the whole body is healthy and growing and full of love. And that's really key, that actually if you want to have a healthy body, you can't just ignore the bits that are hurting and aching. It will eventually potentially affect the whole body if you do that. If you want to be a body that is healthy and growing, you have to help the bits that aren't doing so well, and you also have to put your efforts in for the sake of the whole. you can't just be. Paul uses the analogy of if the whole body were an eye, how would you hear? Or if the whole body were an ear, how would you smell anything? You can't just say, well, this is my function, I will just use it for myself. An eye doesn't see for its own sake. An eye sees, it takes that image in so that the brain can interpret that and your body can do something with its understanding of the world. You see things so that you can interact with them. And so actually the function of an eye is not for the eye itself, it's to feed an image into the whole body, into the whole understanding. Your skills that you've been granted by God are not just for you, they are to benefit the people around you as well. And so we can get into this kind of individualized culture that is so prevalent now. It's a kind of an American thing, really. And actually, one big American company that made a big thing of it was this, Burger King. Have it your way. This whole idea that actually everything should be catered around the individual's personal whims and desires, and I don't think that's actually a really helpful way of thinking about things. We like to think that actually we would like everything to work just for us. I've just spent a bit of time creating this office space which fits me and it works for how I want it to, and of course there are things that you will make work for your individual needs. But actually, if we focus so much on our individual needs, we can start to forget that we are actually part of a culture, of a society, of a community. And if we don't play our part in that, then the whole thing falls apart. I have seen a lot of people outraged about what they call intolerance and injustice and all these things. And I think generally what's happening is people are getting very focused on their individual needs and then think that the whole of the society should just bend themselves to suit that particular person. And it's very easy to do because now with social media and so on, we have this this concept almost of being, it's almost like a right to have an opinion, a right to have a certain way of being and living and so on, and we can have that without and nobody else should be upset about it. And that doesn't really work, because when you have a bunch of people who believe different things and you try to smush them all together, and inevitably you're going to have some conflict. People are just going to get upset. If you have a very strong idea about something, then I guarantee you there'll be somebody else who has a very strong opposite idea. It doesn't matter what you believe in. I'm not picking out any particular group here. What I'm saying is that if you start focusing on the idea that actually your beliefs are so important that everybody else should be catering to you, then you've lost track of what's happening. The only person who is so important that everybody's beliefs need to, follow them is Jesus. That's why he's the head. Because actually everybody else's needs or so on are actually subservient to that. We can't try to, we cannot live in a society where we just assume that everybody has to just agree with us. And then if people don't agree with us, we call it intolerance. It's a really daft idea, really. Because for a start, if you think that everybody else around you is intolerant, well, really, that's your own intolerance, isn't it? You are not tolerant of people who don't agree with your ideas, and you start calling them intolerant. It's a snake that eats itself. Don't get caught in that trap, okay? We need to remember that actually we are part of a society and we have to contribute to that. And we also have to recognise that everybody's needs are different, and sometimes that won't fit in with what we individually want. And we just have to try and work around that. We have to actually work together to make a better society. Otherwise, the society we live in will be so fractured that nobody can help each other. In fact, I think we've kind of got to that point already. I was saying social media. I didn't really finish that idea. That with social media, we can now find people all around the world that agree with us. So we can think, oh, okay, well then, if I can find another 100 people who believe the same thing that I believe, or 1,000 people or 1 million people, then that means everybody should believe that. Well, that just doesn't work, does it? It just doesn't work. But we get conned into this idea that our ideas are somehow more right than other people's ideas, because we can find lots of people that support what we think. I mean, that even goes to the extent of daft things like the Flat Earth Society. I'm sorry if you're part of the Flat Earth Society, but I have to tell you, you are wrong. The Earth is not flat. I'm sorry if that's a revelation to you, but the Earth is not flat. But there are people, even with daft ideas like that, that will gather together and they find enough support with other people to think, oh, wow, maybe there's some truth to this after all. Of course there's not. It doesn't take a lot to measure that the earth is not flat. But if you find enough people that support your idea, you can make almost anything seem plausible. You've got to realise that actually you've got to broaden your horizons and mix with people who have different ideas to you and not be offended by that. If you can... Tabitha did a great thing about not taking offence this week. If you were a part of her group, the Bravo prayer group, then maybe you saw that message. And it's a really good message about not taking offence. And, I think we can be people who are so easily offended now because we assume that everybody should think the way we are, that we start to push people away. And it just gets worse and worse. We're saying on one hand, we want society and we want society to work together and want all this lovely togetherness. But on the other hand, we don't actually want to participate in that. We don't want to build it because building society means compromising, means accepting that you are not the most important part of that, means accepting that actually other people have different ideas to you and you have to contribute into those that culture, not in a way that says my ideas have to be paramount, but actually in a way that says, okay, I can respect you and respect how you think and understand that actually some things we're going to disagree on, and that's not a problem. We will only prosper if the whole prospers. That's just how it works. Google actually had a great slogan. I'm not saying that Google are, they used to have this thing called "Don't be evil," and that they used to have a slogan. I'm not quite sure they live up to that anymore, but they did have a slogan that they used a couple of years ago that said "Be together, not the same." And I think that's quite a good idea. That we can be together, but we don't have to all be the same. We can celebrate our individuality without making that the our God. Our individuality and our own ideas don't have to be our God. Our God is our God. Jesus is our God, and He is the one that we need to focus on. As much as it may seem like the phrase "look after number one" has a lot of sense to it, actually, if we all look after number one, we're all just a bunch of ones, and we don't actually add up to anything. If you actually want to build anything bigger than one, then you have to start compromising and start working with other people. And one of the ways we need to do that is just by loving each other, genuinely loving each other. 1 Thessalonians, Paul again talks about this. He says, let's get the thing on. It says, so encourage each other and build each other up just as you're already doing. And again, this is a great reminder. I'm not saying that you're not already doing this. This is not a "you are doing so badly, I'm telling you off" thing. It's actually, I think we probably are already doing this for a large part, especially within the church. That we need to support and build each other up, the people around us. We need to think about, how are you suffering? How can I help you with that? As I said, take each other's burdens, but also encouraging people, saying well done, and really celebrating with other people. My little escape room, 15 seconds before I got out of the room thing. It's a small thing in the grand scheme of things, but it's nice to celebrate. I shared it with you. It's nice if we can celebrate things that actually for us may not be that important, but for other people are big victories in their lives. 15 seconds escape room is not a big victory in my life, just to be clear about that. I have other things going on, but it's nice to celebrate those things. It's nice to say, well done, and encourage and support, and it may not be that you are it's your interest or your thing that you want to get involved with, but I hope that if you have children, you understand this already, that if your children come to you with a picture that they've drawn and it's maybe it looks like a pile of mashed potato made out of different colours, and they say, hey, it's a picture of you, you're like, yay, well done, and you don't have to do it in a patronising way. You just recognise that actually they put their best effort into it and their intention is great, even if what came out is not quite great. So even if the results aren't perfect, you can still celebrate with people and say, yeah, well done, well done for putting your effort in, well done for trying, and be a positive person who lifts other people up. Going back to Ephesians 4 for a second. I don't have this one to put up. I missed that one. Never mind. So Ephesians 4 says, get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words and slander, as well as all types of evil behaviour. Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. We need to be people who are quick to forgive, not quick to offence. and people who are looking to how we can be kind and tender-hearted and forgiving to people around us, and not be people who are full of bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, slander, and so on. Again, I don't think that really categorises anybody that I know within Mount of Olives, but we all have these things that deep inside us. We look at somebody and we feel this and we feel that, and we don't want to help them out. I think we just need to be people who are really always looking for how we can be the best of ourselves, how we can be the kindest, most tender-hearted people, and supporting the people around us. And by doing that, it is actually kind of a self-serving thing. By doing that, by making sure that the whole body works together, actually it benefits us. So, let's put it this way. I was talking about the eye before, okay? So if the eye does its job properly, it helps the body. Maybe it helps the person go and find food that gives nutrition to the body. And by that, the eye itself is also given nutrition. An eye cannot go and find food for itself. An eye cannot supply itself with blood. An eye cannot, I can't actually even clean itself, and it's an eyelid to do that. The eye can only do a very small specialised function by itself, and it needs to rely on the rest of the body being healthy to provide it with life. And so if it does its job properly, then it helps the whole body, and the whole body in turn sustains that part of the body. Does that make sense? So actually, by serving the body and serving something bigger than you are also serving yourself. You're providing yourself with the sustenance and the support and the nutrition. It goes both ways. It's not just about you supporting other people, it's about other people supporting you. It's about the fact that actually if you can laugh and commiserate with other people, then they will be doing the same thing when it comes to your emotional needs and the things that are going on in your life. We should all be supporting each other, and you benefit from that more than you give into it. If you are 1 out of 100 people and you support that's the rest of the group, then actually that you have maybe 99 people who are supporting you. That makes sense. You are supporting 99 people, but those 99 supporting you. You have this great strength of people lifting you up. So we really do benefit in an amazing way. We only really prosper ourselves if the whole thing that we're part of prospers. And if we try to go and be individual, an eye that decided, I don't want to be part of the body anymore, pretty gruesome. I was just going to say, if you imagine if your eye jumped out, it's a pretty gruesome image, isn't it? But imagine if your eye went off by itself. Well, an eye wouldn't last for 5 minutes by itself, because it would have no blood supply or anything else to sustain it. Even if it thought it was a great idea to go out on its own, it wouldn't think that for very long. We need the rest of the body. And in all of this, we must remember as well that the way we treat each other and the way we look after each other as a church, as a body, people are watching that. People are paying attention to that. I've talked about this before, but actually it says here, let's go to John. So it says here in John 13, it says, "So now I'm giving you a new commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other." Okay? And the reason for this, or part of the reason for this, is your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. If we want to show people what we're about as a church, one of the best examples is how we support each other, how we lift each other up, how we bear each other's burdens, how we weep with those who weep, how we encourage each other. All of those things are really important for ourselves, but it's also really important as a testimony to who we are and to who Jesus is in our lives, that actually we want to do those things. The world doesn't do that. The world is usually people trying to make themselves feel better by getting one up on the next person. The world has this idea that actually, your next door neighbour buys a car, well, you should buy a bigger car so that you can look better than them. Or, you should be competing with the person at your work to get the better job. Or you should be competing with somebody for the affections of, a third person. Maybe you just fight for what you want. You fight for your rights. You fight for number one. I mean, this idea is there all over the place. That you should be wearing the best clothes and buying the best things, because that's how you will prove that you are the best. And people are constantly fighting to be on top. And when you have a world that's constantly fighting to be number one, actually it's a real breath of fresh air when you find a community that is not fighting in that way. Well, actually they've already established who is number one. Number one is Jesus, and so they don't need to fight about that anymore. Actually what they're doing is just thinking about how they can support each other and support Jesus, you know, how they can be the best for Jesus. The question of who is number one is settled. It's not us, it's Jesus, and therefore it's not a competition anymore. We don't have to worry about that, and it really is a breath of fresh air. And I think a lot of people are looking for that. I think everybody actually genuinely is looking for that, but a lot of people don't really realise it until they see it, and they see it in us and how we treat each other and support each other. So I can hear my children in the background maybe fighting to see who is number one. So before they burst in and there's a bunch of chaos, let's bring this to a close. So I just wanted to just think about those 4 points. So, basically if one part of the body suffers, the whole suffers. We need to support other people. We are designed to help each other. That, the reason we have individual skills is like cogs in the machine. One bit's big and one bit small, but it's all meant to fit together to create a beautiful harmony. And the way we do that is by loving each other and by supporting each other and by really caring about the people around us. And as we do that, the world sees what we do, and it looks at us and says, oh, okay, you really do love each other and care for each other. How can I get a bit of that? And actually that helps people understand what having Jesus in life really means. So I hope that all makes some sense for you. I'm going to go to a final worship song. For some of you, once again, there we go, turn off previous me. So thank you very much last week, Phil, for delivering that sermon. And we're back to me with a much bigger red nose. Anyway, there you go. It's very noticeable, isn't it, after you just seen me for last week. And also the same jumper and T-shirt. So it does all link in somehow. Anyway, yes, I hope you appreciated that sermon if you didn't get to see it before, and I hope you appreciated seeing it again if you did manage to see it last week. So we are going to go to a final worship song, and that song is going to be from Elam Sound, and it's a song, No Longer I. And I thought that fits in really nicely because actually it's just a reminder of how it's not all about us, it is all about Jesus. So let's go to this song.
At the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burden of my soul rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight. Now no longer I, but Christ in me. I will run to the cross where you opened up my eyes. I will sing of the love that saved me. I will bow in the place where your death became my life. I will run to the cross. Oh, how endless the hope. Oh, how empty the grave. Oh, the joy of a stone rolled away. It is there by grace I am raised to life. Now no longer I, but Christ in me. I will run to the cross where you opened up my eyes. I will sing of the love that saved me. I will bow in the place where your death became my life. I will run to the cross. I will run to the cross. and the burden of my soul rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight. Now no longer I, but Christ in me.
Okay. So, just to finish off, I'll just make sure you remember that obviously I'll be seeing some of you tomorrow morning, Monday at 10 a.m. at the church. That's to load up the van and get things over to the Jenkins house. We will be seeing some of you again on Tuesday evening for the prayer meeting, so you're most welcome for that. And also, so I'll be seeing some more people on Thursday for the start of this Bible study and prayer together. Yes, I'll hopefully be seeing a lot of you this week. This is all building, by the way, obviously towards us meeting again in the church at some point soon, and I don't want to say exactly when yet, but there are some pretty strong plans coming together, so it will be sooner than you think. That's what I'm saying. So hopefully we will be meeting together very shortly on a Sunday morning as well. Obviously that will also be limited numbers when it does come about, so just to temper your expectations a little bit there, but that will be something that will be online as well as in person, just like the prayer meeting. Okay, well, I hope you have a fantastic week anyway. I hope you, I will see many of you this week, as I just said, and if I don't get to see you, I hope you have a fantastic week anyway, and that you have a lovely time celebrating birthdays, if that's you this week, or doing whatever you're doing. And I just really appreciate you all supporting me, especially. I know this has been the past couple of weeks with all the streaming not working and so on. I appreciate you sticking with it, and hopefully it all went well for you today. If there were any problems with the stream, please let me know, because I will try to fix that. But it looks like the technology worked for us this week, so hopefully that will continue from this point on. Okay, have a fantastic week, and God bless. See you all soon.